Now, finally, for the start of the show, even though it didn't win, I am very excited to see Volibear in the top 4 here. So let's take a look. We have an even split on our runes. Battlefields are just what you would expect. Anti-ramp for the opponent and Aspirant's Climb, since we're playing a ramp control deck. Going into our main deck with the units, we do have 1 Volibear Furious. For non-mighty units, we have 2 Vi Destructive and 3 First Mate. So even though we're not ramping off our leader, seems like we're still willing to play these low might cards because they can give us big payoffs later on. Of course, we know that First Mate and Vi can definitely do that. We have 3 Captain Farron, 3 Blazing Scorcher, our standard ramper. We have 2 Darius Trifarian, 3 Carnivorous Snapvine, 3 Misfortune to enable more movement around your board, maybe even some energy regeneration. 3 Brazen Buccaneer as another sort of ramper, although unless you are actually using the discard for this, I think there are other 6 might units that don't actually have power costs that would give you a little bit more value. But if you are going to play this on a turn 2, for example, by actually pitching the card, it does get you ahead on ramp at the cost of some hand size. But of course, we know Cadrigan the Infernal can fix that for you by drawing you back a bunch of cards based on how many mighty units you have in play. And for our spells, we do have the 2 Sabotage, one of the best cards in orange, no surprise. 3 Immobilize, but no Catalyst of Aeons. And that's probably a call that this player made, because Catalyst of Aeons into any format that has aggro is probably going to be quite greedy, just because if your opponent's off to a quick start, you don't want to be sitting on that additional ramp card in hand. You want to be sitting on either spells to answer those units or your own units to play and then try to clap back. So that makes a lot of sense there. Going down to our sideboard, we do have the 1 remaining Sabotage. I'm most interested by 3 Aurora in the sideboard and none in the main. I wonder why that this deck would side into Aurora as opposed to starting with it and then maybe siding it out if the opponent has ample gear removal, right? Because you can play against a Volibear in game 1 and they might not see Dazzling Aurora, right? But as the opponent, I'm still going to assume it's in their deck. They might have just not drawn into it. So going into game 2 as Darius or some other yellow deck, let's say, I'm still going to side in my salvages. And if you're the Volibear player siding in Aurora, it seems kind of weird to side in gears into my opponent siding in gear hate. So I feel like you might want to do the opposite, where you start with Aurora in your main deck and maybe side it out in games 2 and 3 if you feel like you can get away with it. So I would definitely be very curious to know the rationale and the thought process behind this specific sideboard choice, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it. I just don't have it at this exact moment. But the rest of the sideboard looks like it can be very useful. Let's go ahead and start looking at our top 4 lists from the France event.